Putin here. He doesn't care because he only needs 250 ounces of silver. That gives him enough cat food for 30 years actually. So, if you're a cat, you got it made. But it's. I'll tell you one other thing. Since I mentioned cat food, um, actually, I think that's going to be the problem in the future because something's going on with this deflation actually in all the commodities. It's not following what's actually going on in the markets per se. Because first off, you can look at physical gold, physical silver, everything physical metals is going flying off the shelves worldwide. I don't know if that's going to lead to a shortage, but it's actually leading to a bottleneck as to where the investors who invest in coins at the retail level, there's actually not enough coins. It's actually slowing. It's actually becoming a problem. Where there's shortage of back orders on coins all over the world. It's going on in India, Thailand, China. Actually, they're saying there's not 1 ounce of gold bullion for sale. Really, they're limiting. Dealers are taking orders, but they're limited to 2.5 ounces per person in Thailand. China supposedly is outpacing its internal production 5.5 to 1. In Hong Kong, people are basically taking out money left and right and buying up the metals now. Because if you're using a little bit of horse sense, common sense, or whatever you want to call it, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong here. And the other thing I keep thinking about is food, because you really can't eat silver and gold. I mean, yeah, supposedly you can go buy it with it, but if there's actually a problem here comes up, because I think what we got going on here in a way, it's almost like price controls, and it could be Ben Bernanke's policy that's doing it. I saw one theory. I'll probably elaborate on some another video, but I saw one theory somebody sent me, an excellent article, that since Ben Bernanke's suppressing the price of gold, he's actually causing deflation across the board by depressing the price of gold. And that makes sense because the price of gold basically is an indicator of inflation. So he's deliberately trying to suppress the price of gold. No, it's a theory. It's a little bit of conspiracy theory, but it would make sense that that's causing everything to go down. And if you look at, like I said, the agriculture, it doesn't make sense because we've had the worst drought since 1936 in the United States. It was like as bad as the Dust Bowl in the Great Depression. And the food prices are staying real low. Nothing really, corn dropped a real lot, like a record level. It dropped a couple weeks ago, I believe it was. I'm not sure the exact date. But everything's been dropping off the side of the cliff in commodities. Yet we're still printing more money. There's more QE going on. Japan's embarking on record QE. So people are buying physical silver. Also, the largest Dutch bank, they actually defaulted on delivery of gold. Which is supposed to be if you default on some. Well, they said here, take the money, take the cash instead. We don't have enough gold to go around for you people that invested in gold. You think the price would go up? Something's coming up behind the scenes, and people got enough common sense to buy the metals themselves. I think that it's actually going to shoot up on the spot market too. I don't think there's going to be a separation of price between the spot market and the physical market. It's going to shoot up actually, and they're going to lose control basically, and that's the way when they lose control, they go to war. Now, I'm going to kind of shoot from the hip here as far as the Boston bombing marathon, Boston bombing that happened during the marathon. I actually think that it was a false flag. I mean, I think 9/11 was a false flag, but I saw some of the evidence about some of the people pointing out some of the faces in it and who the operatives were, but the one thing that really sticks out to me is how they deported that Saudi who was a witness or part of it or something like that. How they immediately deported him. I'm thinking to myself, why did they do that? The guy would have been useful for finding out what's going on. They said the Ford deported him because they said he was a danger or something. I don't buy into that stuff right there. But it's It's interesting too. If you look back, I think it was in 1920. They had a bombing actually in New York City, in the financial district of New York City, and I think like 100 people got killed or something. It was like far worse than the Boston Marathon bombing that just occurred. It was way worse. There was big bomb went off right in the middle of the financial district in 1920. But there was no lockdown of the city or nothing like that. It wasn't like, oh, you people get in here, don't ride your horses to work or whatever. So they probably had horses back then. It was like there was no lockdown in the city, no draconian laws came about it or anything like that. And actually, nobody knew who did it. It turned out to be unsolved. It was like, and that was a lot worse than the Boston Marathon bombing that just occurred here. So that's kind of interesting in that the psyche of the American people, or actually the powers that be above the American people, have gotten to the point where they think they can just, if an event occurs, that means you're going to restrict the freedoms on Americans greatly. Because Boston basically was in total lockdown. That was pretty surprising to me. That was surprising. Surprising people didn't put up with that shit, because you're only looking for 2 people. You don't have locked down like freaking millions for that. But, I just want to point out back in 1920, they had a bigger explosion right in the New York financial district. And, they never found out who it was or nothing. But, it's like they didn't react the way they do today, where they got to, like, put everybody in their house, all the roads got to be cleared, Ridiculous, It's like you're back in Nazi Germany in the 30s or some garbage when they did that stuff. It's scary. But the other thing is where I think it's a scam is that, the guys, basically they're citizens of the Soviet Federation. So, and, he prays, he's a Muslim or the Muslims or something. It kind of fits in with what the New World Order types want to get after. So now Putin's going to probably go in Chechnya and clean out Muslims or something. I don't know what he's going to do. But it kind of fits in. The whole thing just fits. And, I know there's really, really radical Muslims out there that want to kill everybody and all this kind of... There is. But for the most part, a person who's Muslim, they just grew up in it. Really. That's what the hell it is. Most of them don't give a shit. Tell you, it's just like everybody else. Nobody really cares that much about, forcing their faith on anybody or clobbering all the infidels or anything like that. Most of them don't even care. But looking at the background of these individuals that supposedly did this bombing, I don't know, what did they do? All of a sudden decide to wake up one day and bomb somebody, and, it didn't make sense. So that whole thing kind of smells rotten to me. I just go by instinct, because I'm not going to bother researching the hell of it. But right now, my opinion is that was a setup, So if you look back in history, it ain't the first time there's been setups. But, and if it was a setup, it's kind of interesting how it's all timed with what's going on with the markets. And by the way, I would not recommend shorting the markets. If people want to play bets and all this kind of crap, I think the metals are probably, I don't know, they're not going to just fly up right away, but that might be about it for them. Some people now they've got down to hit 22, they're forecasting 18. I really don't know, man. I mean, nobody knows for sure, but a little common sense will tell you, you could be guessing and trying to bottom fish for an exact low, and you're missing the boat if you don't have metals. But you don't have to keep buying on the dips. Actually, what I would recommend to the average person right now, if you got a good amount of silver, gold, whatever you got, palladium or whatever, is to buy food, because I think that's going to come up in the short supply too if they keep it at these prices. And I don't think they're going to keep it at these prices. We're going to see the price of everything, all the commodities, start escalating again. And that could actually, when Ben Bernanke acts, because somehow he's suppressing the price of gold, that's probably killing all the commodities. But when he acts, he's probably going to act in such a fashion that it's even going to cause the stock market to even go even higher, maybe, because that right now is being pumped up by the Fed. I know. The reason I'm pointing this out, because I know Greg Manarino was talking about it. I think he was talking about freaking shorting the markets. I'm thinking, I wouldn't do that shit. I wouldn't trust it because the Fed wants the markets up right now. You know, I wouldn't be playing that game. So, your best bet right now and is to probably just actually buy physical food versus physical metals. If you already got metals, screw it. Just keep buying food because what might happen if there's a real financial catastrophe, you're not going to have access to. Well, say there is. Say there is. If you don't have access to your accounts and all this kind of crap, how are you going to go to a bullion dealer and get dollars for your metals and go to a bank and deposit and then write a check if there's a financial crisis? You really want to think about like food and fuel first. But something's coming up here because it seems like the whole world is buying metals faster now. So there's no reason the price should be dropping. It's like, I guess Ben Bernanke is actually causing, by suppressing the price of gold, he's causing suppression in the price of a lot of things, and there may be shortages of other things that are happening, even like food. I don't want to get into all kinds of drama, but it makes some sense. Because if the price is too low, they're just not going to sell it. They're not going to sell it. So, we shall see. Usually when you fix prices like that, basically that's what's going on. You're basically fixing the price of gold by selling lots of paper gold. And it's affecting all the commodities. And so, like, when you fix prices like that, it always leads to shortages. Physical shortages. And we're seeing some physical shortages in the end product of coins right now. You can buy them, but a lot of them are out of stock. A lot of them are like back ordered, and there's still a lot of buying pressure going on globally. I would actually, during this time when you see this dip, invest in food too. First, you want to go invest in more metals, fine. But I would invest in food. That's, to me, if there's an actual financial crisis, you're not going to be able to take your coins and go to the bullion dealer, trade them in, get dollars, deposit a check, and go do a transaction for food. You're either going to have paper cash or you're going to have the food itself. So, I would invest in food. Be careful on that. And I think this whole deal is all related with, it's real conspiracy stuff. It could be. It could be, though. I think it is related. The Boston bombing is, I don't know. I think it is. I think it's a scam. I think that was a setup. I think it was, man. I'm not just saying it for that. I mean, when they deport the Saudi guy, it doesn't make sense to me. And these other two that supposedly did it, I don't even know why they did it, because supposedly all their background doesn't point to anything where they're like a bunch of radicals. I mean, they were Muslim or something, but they didn't point. They didn't have any background of being a radical Muslim. If they got some guy in here that got in a country that was, one of those jihad fighters or something, and then he got in here and did it, it would make sense. But these two guys didn't. It don't make sense. So it just looks like they're looking to do a joint effort with the United States and Russian Federation going after Muslims, maybe. I don't know. But actually, I know like most Muslims don't give a shit about this. They don't take it so super serious that they're going to go after every infidel in the world. Some are, but a lot of them ain't. They were just born into it, and that's just how they are. So, but for this shortage and this downturn, because actually there's going to be a shortage in the metals here pretty soon, the way things are going. I mean, at least at the retail end level, where you buy coins, I would actually buy physical food. Be smart. Buy physical food, because that's actually far more important than the metals. So, like, I know my cat, he's got, 250 ounces of silver. Will give him, like, 30 years worth of food. But I keep a lot of food for him around, too. I actually got a year's supply of food for my cat. So he's taken care of, too, in case if there's an emergency and the sky falls. Well, kitty cat's going to be able to eat. So, so that'll be cool.